In this video, I'm finally gonna be reviewing the good old airline from the United States of America, American Airlines. First, we're gonna be flying a way too long flight over the Pacific Ocean from Tokyo Narita Airport, where I am right now, over to Dallas Fort Worth Airport, and then onwards on a domestic flight, flying from DFW up to Minneapolis. Along the way, we'll be going over every detail of the American Airlines Economy Experience, from choosing seats to in-flight meals and beverages, even the lounges you can gain access to. Yes, even when flying economy. Just what is the whole American Airlines long-haul experience when you're connecting to a domestic flight like these days? Well, we're about to find out. Security and going through the border and customs took about 3 minutes. And they put you right in front of the Sakura Lounge. So when you're flying Oneworld over here in economy class and you don't have the highest of high Oneworld statuses, but you still have Oneworld Sapphire status at least, there are 2 different lounges that you can access. There's the JAL Sakura Lounge, where I'm standing right now, and then there's the Cathay Pacific Lounge right across the way. As far as the JAL Sakura lounges go, this seems to be one of the better ones. On the first floor, you've got a kind of chill out area, but then when you come up here to the second floor, you've got 2 areas. One that's kind of more intended for drinking, and then one that's a little bit more intended for eating. This is the dining right here, and this room over here is called the bar. You can see all the food is right over there. There's also a little food section over here that they haven't quite finished setting up yet. And in terms of food selection, this is by far the best I've seen at any, not the highest of high JAL lounges. There's of course their signature curry, but they've also got black pepper fried chicken under that, some short ribs, all kinds of stuff in this bowl. I'm not even gonna get into it. Same here. And some karaage, fried chicken, Japanese fried chicken, salad, dessert, oh, and fish roe. But I do have to point out, if you actually want fresh raw fish, so sushi or sashimi, you've got to go next door into the first class lounge, and I don't have access. This black pepper fried chicken is insane. Highly recommend it. And yeah, they may not do the fish part of things over here. It might not be quite as luxurious as next door, but the quality of the food is like really on point for an airport lounge. Very good. So once I've finished up my lunch over here and maybe spend a little bit of time hanging out, we can go over to the Cathay Pacific Lounge to do a little bit of comparing. I have been told this is the better option, but then again, this is my first time visiting the Oneworld lounges here at Narita, so I've got to go see it with my own eyes. But that Japan Airlines lounge sure does get really busy right around 3:30 p.m. It was nearly empty when I came in, and it quickly became full. So let's just walk over here in the terminal to the Cathay Pacific Lounge and see, well, if it's as busy during peak times and just what that experience is like compared to the JAL Sakura Lounge experience. And on the way, I can see that our 777 is already parked over there. The only American Airlines plane parked here. So I had originally thought I might actually go back to the Japan Airlines Sakura Lounge, but it's about a 3-4, maybe 5-minute walk down that way. And since my gate's gonna be this way, that might be it for the JAL Lounge. So let's get in here while I've still got some time and see what the Cathay Pacific Lounge is really like. By the way, unlike JAL, this isn't their hub, so they're just operating a lounge that can be accessed by both Sapphire and Emerald members of Oneworld. Hello. And my idea was to take a shower. They're available now in this lounge. At the JAL Lounge, there was a long wait. So shower first, and then we'll take a look around this lounge. And okay, I'm just slightly suspicious that the JAL showers over there might be slightly nicer than this, although this looks just fine, but it's gonna be a little bit of an incomplete video because I'm not gonna have time to go back over there and show you. So for those of you that know what the showers are like over at the JAL Sakura Lounge, definitely drop a comment down below telling us which one you think is better. But as for me and my shower right now, well, I'll see you guys in a minute. A shower is always nice. And this lounge has pretty good Bamford amenities. A company I've never heard of, so most companies, but they seem pretty posh. Anyway, this is a much smaller lounge than that JAL one. It's only 1 floor, but there's plenty of seating area, some stuff to read over there, nice feng shui, using my Hong Kong vocabulary, and oh, there's just a lot less food selection than the JAL Lounge. They do actually have some smoked salmon, so props to them. You've also got sort of charcuterie, something like that, pasta, that kind of stuff, a different type of curry. This one's much lighter in color, and a few soups, miso, tomato soup, some baked stuff over there, and then your drinks. Maybe not the most Japanese of lounges for being in Japan, but who doesn't love some smoked salmon? Well, I do anyway. So if you want like more food and more lounge, go over to the JAL Lounge. But if you want peace and quiet, maybe come over to the Cathay Lounge. I don't know, it's up to you. But my flight AA60 is just about to board, so let's head over to the gate. Opa! Sometimes things break in lounges too. And behind me you can see darkness has already fallen basically. It gets dark here in Japan pretty early, right around 5 p.m. right now in October. But that means the first part of this flight is going to be flown during the night. But the really cool and fun thing about this one is that although I'm departing a little bit after 6 p.m., on the exact same day, I'm going to be arriving to Dallas right around 4 p.m. aka I'm going to go back about 2 hours in time on this flight. And here you can see we're going to be departing from gate 72 down there. Looks like boarding will be ready to go in 5-10 minutes.
Any passports, travel documents, or medicines you may need on your journey.
Well, one thing that's really nice down here at Narita is that we've got tons and tons of shopping for you if you're on a long haul flight. Right by the gate. My gate 72 is just over there. Here's 71. And here's your shop. But now the American Airlines boarding for economy class has just started. You see Group 1 and I've got Group 3, so I'll be on board in just a second.
American flight 62 for Group 3 customer, welcome to board.
A tad bit chaotic over here at the gate, but I'm just about to be on board. Looks like I'm in the right line. And here we are at the gate. How are you doing? Thanks so much. And into the path into the jet bridge with absolutely nobody here because, yeah, that boarding process over here was just a little bit awkward. I don't know what's up with it. Here was the business class boarding gate, but they boarded the classes completely separate. So even if you have like top status in Oneworld, you still can't board via the business door on this flight with American. But here we are. They've rolled out the red carpet, or, well, wait, this carpet's always red. Anyway, we've got a red carpet to our airplane. Let's see what American Airlines Flight 60 is like. I get to sit next to her.
Okay, just follow the leader.
Thank you. And boarding right here, you get to walk through the back of the business class. But of course, intercontinental Japan all the way to Dallas. You got lie flat seats in here. And I've flown this product once before on a different route, but it's pretty all right. Can't really hang with Japan Airlines in their business class. Definitely not in their first class, but it's not the worst option either. Anyway. Rolling through the little premium economy class here. Oh, nice, you get some amenities. That one I haven't tried, I'll have to try that next time. And we've got a little bit of a surprise for you with our seats on this flight. You see how these are all 3, 4, 3? We've got a little bit of a secret row over here. It is next to the bathroom, the obvious downside. One other downside is that it looks like they're using the overhead storage for row 25 where we'll be sitting for some kind of crew purposes or something. So we've got to put our bags up here. And for that reason, it actually kind of mattered when we boarded this plane. This is a very, very heavy one. I've messed up my back over here in Japan and my carry-on bag. By the way, I'm traveling around the world with only a carry-on bag. There'll be another video about how I'm doing that. It's gotten pretty full after visiting Japan, as it usually does. So let's get seated and see what the economy experience is like once we're in the air. And the economy seats over here don't come with any particular amenity kit or anything like that. You just get this pillow and this blanket. And yeah, it's a little bit on the tight side for intercontinental like this. I don't know, you can see what the legroom looks like there. We're not talking Ryanair or anything crazy like that, but not huge. Welcome to your home for the next 11 hours. And since I boarded early in Group 3, the group I was assigned, it took quite some time for boarding to actually finish up. They board here 50 minutes before departure for international flights on American Airlines, but other Japanese or really just any Asian airline usually would just need about 30 minutes for the same process. I guess that's basically a cultural difference, you could call it. But sitting in this random row that only has 2 seats has a little bit of a benefit in the sense that you get this extra space for your bag. So right now you can see even if the legroom isn't that great, there's plenty of room for my feet. And there's nobody over there or anything. But really, like I was saying, the only downside is probably this bathrooms here. That's something we'll have to wait for a few hours to decide if it's really a problem or not. But yeah, this is the bathroom. It's not really very clean. I'm not gonna pass judgment on American Airlines based on my previous experiences though. Trying to go into this with as open a mind as possible. But at the same time, consider that I did fly to Japan just before this on Japan Airlines and had a pretty solid experience. So I might accidentally every once in a while compare the two. So yeah, not exactly a completely spacious bathroom, but not too bad. Kind of in the middle for a wide body like this. Just a little bit dirty, and there's really no amenities or anything. It's just your soap. And somehow, I don't know, this seems to just be something that happens on American Airlines in general. Not American Airlines, but airlines based in the US. Seems like the overhead room is almost already all full. I mean, this is a wide body with big overhead compartments, but I guess flying to, from, and within the US, people just tend to bring larger bags and get away with it. So I'm really happy that I boarded with my group in group 3, because otherwise there's a pretty high chance that I would have had to gate check my bag. And connecting to a domestic flight in the US always means you have to recollect your bag, take it through customs, and then recheck it if you want it checked again, which is, in my opinion, an unnecessary hassle. But it's just a reality that, if you know about, you might want to avoid.
We appreciate that you've chosen American as your chosen brand. For now, enjoy the flight. We'll talk to you. We'll try to keep our announcements to a minimum so you can get some rest or watch some movies, and we'll update you on our arrival time as well as any in-ride updates and weather upon arrival into Dallas. Welcome aboard.
And well, now boarding is completed, and they've actually gone through all of the pre-flight announcements well before our set departure time. Right now it's about 6:16. We're supposed to be taking off at 6:30. So it looks like we might even arrive to Dallas a few minutes early today. This is a pretty busy route too, by the way, and very often flights fly off completely full. But this one is probably about 9/10 or maybe even 4/5 full. There's quite a few empty seats around, and that seems to make the vibe just a little bit chiller on board, whenever that's the case, really. The only other American Airlines flight over to Dallas today was flying from the other airport here in Tokyo, the one that's actually much closer to the city, Haneda, and that was flown aboard a Dreamliner and departed about 2 hours before this one. I chose this flight specifically for 2 reasons. I wanted to try out the Oneworld lounges over here at Narita, and more importantly, since this is like an 11-hour flight, actually flight time will be 11 hours and 4 minutes, it was officially announced.
11 hours and 4 minutes.
There are a handful of rows around the aircraft in economy class that have 2 seats like this one. So when I saw that these 2 seats were open, it could even be booked without any extra charge using my Oneworld Sapphire status. I was sold on this flight aboard their older 777-200. Since we're flying from Japan, I guess, or maybe they do this on other long-haul routes too, we got a nice little wet towel. Yes, that's right, even in economy class. Oshibori desu ka? But I guess this means that service is going to get started very quick on this flight, because we just took off about 15 minutes ago. It looks like they're coming around with some kind of snack right now.
Do you mind if I ask you close the shade?
Ah, okay. Otsumami. Hopefully there will be more after these pre-dinner snacks that are usually served with drinks in Japan. And while service is continuing, the seatbelt sign actually hasn't been turned off, but people seem to just be heading back to this bathroom right behind me, and I can confirm I've had other flights sitting right in front of the bathroom. For example, on Saudia's 777, there wasn't a problem at all. But on this plane, you're definitely going to hear those flushes, because I've got my earplanes in at the moment still. We're still ascending, but I can hear each flush super loud. Luckily, that's not a bathroom, so it's really just this one. But given the fact that way up there in the front, the bathrooms are only for the business class. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if Premium Eco gets their own restrooms either, but everyone sitting in front of me on this side of the plane is going to be coming back to this bathroom most likely. I may very well have a few nightmares if I fall asleep on this plane about the sounds of toilets flushing.
What would you like?
Do you have any Japanese stuff?
I don't have green tea. I believe I have some sake in the back.
Sorry, without alcohol, I should say.
Oh.
Like
okay.
juice or something.
Orange apple, tomato, cran apple.
And, of course, that lounge food was good, but it's time to try some of what they'll serve you up in economy class on an American Airlines flight. I will point out that at least the pork meal here was catered in Japan, so definitely take that into account if you're departing from, I don't know, say Dallas, anywhere in the US, anywhere that's not Japan, it's not going to be Japanese catered stuff. You get to choose chopsticks or Western cutlery, and the small side dishes look pretty nice, but I've got to say, the main the pork, what looks like some kind of pork katsu thing or something, just doesn't look all that appetizing, but maybe it tastes better than it looks. It's like a ricey, eggy thing under the pork. It's mostly really the panko casing more than the pork. There you heard the flush behind me, by the way. That's what the seat is like. So, I guess the Japanese catered meal is okay. The main's not that great. The other option was beef. Maybe I'd give that a try next time. But with American on long-haul flights like this, you can pre-order your vegetarian, kosher, halal meal, whatever it is. But you got to do it at least 24 hours before the flight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The food's not all that great on this flight. But the lemon dessert is pretty good. So yeah, first meal, not amazing. Certainly edible. If you don't have lounge access, I would probably recommend getting at least a few snacks or something for the flight beforehand. But I'd say I kind of like the overall vibe of this flight in economy class. It's very laid back. The crew is like there if you need them. They're greeting you and all that kind of stuff, but they're not really in your face either. It's a good balance here. So, on that note, once they come by and take my tray, I think I'm gonna just sit back and go to sleep. I hope. Oh yeah, and while I'm lulling myself to sleep, I should point out, way up there in the front, AC and then I guess JK, you've got a row that's got 2-4-2 seating, the bulkhead row, the very front of the economy class. And those seats look like probably the best option if you're looking for just 2 seats somewhere in a row. But of course, I booked this flight, I guess about a month and a half ago. Those seats were already booked up. And while I'm here, really just kind of waiting for them still to take the tray away and dim those cabin lights. Oh yeah, and the seatbelt sign was finally turned off after a sin, like an hour and a half into the flight. The entertainment options are sort of decent, but I've got to say, I think you get something different when you've got the newer IFEs, like on the Dreamliners versus what you get on this older 777. I mean, this airplane's 20 years old or something like that, and the IFE is still basically like modern. I'm not sure when they had this retrofitted to get that in there, but it's probably still a few years old too. It's just that the selection is sort of limited for an 11-hour flight. Maybe still acceptable. Again, we'll see if it's possible to sleep on this airplane, and if for whatever reason you can't fall asleep, there's something for you to do if you didn't bring, I don't know, some work or whatever. Positives: I slept for 6 hours. Negatives: my wife wasn't able to sleep for any hours. So, as we fly over Amarillo, Texas, I thought I'd just give this window seat a try, and yeah, that was another flush you heard. Basically, this one might feel a little bit claustrophobic because the way the seats are situated, well, oops, a blanket fell down there, but there's a lot of space between the window seat and the actual window, and I don't know, over here in this aisle seat, it didn't feel as claustrophobic. This is one of the very few times that I've really ever found that an aisle seat is maybe a little bit better than a window. But anywho, while I slept for about 6 hours, they came by with a snack at some point, which they actually left me just because I had my tray table down. There was a few pieces of a cut-up sandwich and a few other things, actually probably enough to call it, I don't know, half a meal or a third of a meal, something like that. And then they just did a final breakfast service. So for an 11-hour flight, they've actually got pretty good food and drink coverage. You get, I don't know, let's just call it 2.5 things to eat. And in terms of when they give it to you, it seems to be well spaced out. So, I mean, the service was good. The hard product on this 777 leaves just maybe a tiny bit to be desired, but it's not terrible either, depending on where you sit. And for me, this has been one of my better American Airlines flights. For my wife, less so. And it kind of seems to be the same thing around the plane, depending on where people are sitting. But we've just started our descent over into Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So once we get on the ground over here, we can see what it's like entering the country. And I've got about a 4.5-hour layover. So more than enough time to deal with all that. And also test out the American Airlines Flagship Lounge over at Dallas Airport before we head onwards on our domestic flight. And we can go over the kind of deal I got to book these flights as well. This isn't really the type of ticket I'd usually book, but in this case, it turned out to be pretty good value. here we've actually arrived about 15 minutes early over to our gate, and so early, in fact, that the ground personnel is not quite ready for us yet. But they must have showed up, because now you can see we're pulling up to our jet bridge that we had just parked in front of. So rather quickly we should be over to Customs and Immigration, and then it's off to the lounge. This is Terminal D over at DFW, and a lot of those long-haul international flights come to and from this terminal. So with row 25 on the left, pretty close to the exit door, we were able to deplane in about 10 minutes. Goodbye 777-200 ER. And over there I can already see there's a Dickey's barbecue pit. We're really in Texas. But first, Customs and Immigration. It's only a 6-minute wait for us. So if we had decided to check our bags, they would come out here. But since we hadn't, it's just straight over to Customs for us. And at DFW, they take you out all the way over here. You're just like completely out of the security zone. You've got to re-clear everything. You always have to re-clear everything except for this little pilot program they're doing for flights from London to here. But at Dallas, Fort Worth, it seems even a little bit less streamlined than in places like, I don't know, Atlanta. So if you've got a reason to hop outside or something from the airport, you're already outside of the airport. So as a result of just being let off in the terminal, when you need to re-clear security, you can just choose any security line, even if they're directing you to a specific one. You can see this line normally would have TSA pre, but that doesn't even look like it's necessarily open. A little bit hard to tell. The line over behind me that you can't see does definitely have TSA pre operating, but regardless, this one was like maybe 1/5 of that other line. At DFW, all of the terminals are connected via SkyTrain or whatever they call it here, airside, so that's always a plus. But we're really lucky today actually, because we arrived here to Terminal D and we're also going to be departing from Terminal D. At least that's what it says now. Our flight's still a little bit of a ways away. We want AA Flagship Lounge. And in just about 10 minutes, we've already made it to the entrance of the Flagship Lounge. Let's check this out. Oh no, where's my telephone? This is my boarding pass. Hey, my phone's a mess, man, sorry. How are you today? Good, okay. So we wanted to come in, I got one guest.
Can I see your boarding pass? Did not scan. Give me 1 second.
Thanks.
When you go upstairs, make a right to the Flagship Lounge.
Okay,
All right,
sounds
welcome
good.
in.
All right, thanks so much. And this is my first time in the DFW Flagship Lounge. I had the opportunity to visit the one in Miami, though, quite a few times. That one's quite nice, so we've got kind of high expectations over here. Let's see. Hey, how are you?
That's you today?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So the AA Flagship Lounge, DFW, is quite big. Showers would be that way, right?
No, not shower, but
okay.
we have a wait.
I mean, right now we're at we have 3 hours, I guess.
Both of you want a shower?
If possible, yeah.
Like what's the flight number? 31 what? I forgot.
Me too. Sorry, we just got in from Japan, so we're like half a day off. 3149.
49, yeah. I remember that
The first part. Long flight numbers on the domestic flights sometimes.
So they have a election, okay?
It just start buzzing.
Number 3 and 4.
Okay, so pretty soon, I guess.
Yes, this depends how long the contract
okay. I don't know. I didn't see who went in there.
We'll see, okay? Let
Okay.
you know.
All right, thank you. So with a few hours to hang out over here, let's just enjoy this lounge. But that's really if we can find a seat. It's very, very packed in here right now. Maybe we need to go the other way and get the food and bring it. So over here on this side of the lounge is just your basic coffee and drink station, a few fruits. But back that way, there's lots of food. The thing is, though, the only seats to my liking that I could find were over this way, in this corner. But yeah, I'm here at a kind of peak time, so this is definitely adequate. The whole lounge aligns with the runway. You can see, I guess it's an A320 taking off over there, A321. Couldn't see that well. But if you sit over in that corner that's a little less popular, you've got to walk all the way back over this way to get your food. And you've got to carry it and be a little bit careful because it's busy. Oh yeah, and they got canned mineral water everywhere in the lounge. That's kind of fancy. But anyway, for food, miso soup. Oh, this is like the Japanese-ish corner.
So we're doing samosas. This is
Oh, wow.
I set up right here.
Okay. And then all that stuff is...
I take the samosa,
Yeah.
pop it, and then whenever I'm finished, it'll look like this.
Oh, okay.
Depending on what you want,
Yeah.
you don't have to have it if you don't want it.
It all looks good. Thank you, sir. And then a lot of hot foods. This one is really comparing well to the Miami lounge that I've been to, honestly. Oh, sushi, spicy tuna rolls, all kinds of good stuff here. And a nice surprise for all of you Topo Chico lovers, they've got it, but it's just hidden in the fridge. You gotta go to the corner over here to get your Topo Chico. Yeah, just got a few flagship lounges left here in the US to test out. Let's see, Philadelphia I haven't been to, Chicago I haven't been to. But anyway, if you were flying first, they also have a special dining room for that with even better made to order options, but this is already very, very adequate, especially considering I'm flying economy class and I only hold Oneworld Sapphire status. They still let me in here. It's definitely a huge upgrade from most Admirals clubs.
What chair? They need extra towels. What
Hey, how
do
you
you
doing?
have? What kid, do you have extra towel? No? They're gonna use it saying I need extra towel.
Just one big one. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Shower number 8. Okay, this is big enough for 2 people. So this is the shower room you get over here at the Flagship Lounge. It's kind of like the one in Miami again. I guess they're all similar, they're flagship lounges, but this is very, very adequate, especially if you're just taking a domestic flight. Well, most things are adequate. There's like a lot of someone else's hair on the wall. At this point, after a 11-hour and 4-minute flight from Japan, we just don't really give a... But yeah, if you're into runway views, they don't always have the screen on. It's just for the afternoon when that afternoon sun comes in and makes this glass really, really hot. It's still very hot, but the sun has just set. It's really pretty here today in Dallas. And lots of planes taking off on this runway. Oh, Turkish Airlines in the house. But with the sun setting, it's almost time to head over to our gate here in Terminal D and see what it's like on board a domestic flight over to Minneapolis. And it was so nice when they had our gate originally over here in Terminal D, but of course they changed it to Terminal B. So we're headed to the Skylink. That's how you get around between the terminals here. It's a train. Ooh, that's a really long escalator. All right, C, E gates to the right side, A, B, that's me, to the left.
Please do not block the doors. Allow people to exit.
Bumpy AF. And honestly, one place where American Airlines actually does excel is with their app and how it's just integrated into your phone. I guess United and Delta kind of have similar, but I find it very, very simple with AA. You just get everything as a real-time update here as long as you got Wi-Fi or your 5G connection, whatever. And it doesn't really matter day or night unless we're talking about 3 a.m. DFW is always pretty busy with American Airlines flights.
And watch your step as you exit.
B18.
For gates B20 through B39.
And another really big escalator. Be careful. There are so many videos on the internet of people falling down escalators. Probably even at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Ah, made it. You can see over here it is nearly only domestic American flights. There's not nearly as nice of a feel in the terminal over here as Terminal D. I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to depart from Terminal D as well. But here we are, B18, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. Oopsie daisies, and it's already boarding. With any luck, there will still be some overhead bin space. And you can see for domestic flights, they also have 9 different boarding groups on American. Of course, I was in Group 3, but I'm a little bit late to the gate.
We now welcome Group 8 from Minneapolis. Here on Group 8. Welcome to board Group 8.
And alrighty. Shorter domestic flight. I'm guessing it's about 2 hours in actual flight time, but we'll see once we're on board. And like most domestic flights in the US, it's on a narrow body plane. It's on a good old 737-800. And just your typical traffic at the gate, but here we are. Let's see what this flight is like. Hey, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Thank you. All right, and this plane's been going around all day. It's not exactly clean, but having the bulkhead makes up for that, I guess. Why not? Domestic flight in the U.S. And there's the SkyTrain track, or whatever they call their train over here at Dallas-Fort Worth, where I just came from. But honestly, this seat is a whole lot better than that one that I just sat in for 11 hours on that long-haul flight. It's just way more comfortable. And of course it is the bulkhead, so there's just a little bit more legroom. If you were looking for the seat to go for in economy class on one of American Airlines 737s, this might actually be an 8A, or on the other side, 8F is probably pretty solid too if I had to guess. It looks basically just like this one. But once we get there, we can get an idea of what service is like, really what the whole domestic AA and also international to domestic changing planes over here at Dallas AA Experience is like, and then we'll talk about how much I pay for these flights. I got a really interesting kind of deal, so make sure to stay tuned for that too.
Our departure time has come and gone by a few minutes here. We're currently waiting for someone to come by and actually give us a windshield wash. Got a lot of bugs that are spattered on our windows up front that need to be cleaned off before we can get on out of here. So
and that might be the first time that I've ever heard our flight is going to be a little bit delayed because they need to wash the windows. It's probably not the first time that's been the case, but I guess the captain decided to communicate very clearly and honestly here. But yeah, you could basically call this a night flight. We're set to arrive at 11:33 p.m. and it looks like we might be a little bit late as a result of this delay, but there's plenty of options if you want to connect to Wi-Fi. You can do it for free by watching ads, or if you're a T-Mobile customer, or you can still buy it on American Airlines. Actually, as I think I said on the first flight, they're kind of the last in phasing in free Wi-Fi across their whole fleet. But by January 2026, both domestic and international flights on American Airlines are supposed to be 100% equipped with free Wi-Fi. So let's see if they actually hit that deadline. And with an all-in-all 12-minute delay, we're pushing back here now. So we're now cruising somewhere around 34,000 feet, I guess. And yeah, it's only about a 2-hour flight, but service hasn't started quite yet. Let's see, I guess that'll start pretty soon. And then we can get an idea of what kind of drinks and snacks they're serving these days on American Airlines. I wouldn't expect too much. But in the meantime, I've been using the Wi-Fi that you get for free by just watching ads, and it's quite fast for airplane Wi-Fi, pretty impressive. And yeah, all these full service airlines over here in the US give you enough to do for a 2, probably 3, 4, 5 hour flight for sure. Watch a movie, watch some live TV, whatever you feel like doing, you can do. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel Live. And now I can see the drinks carts rolling through. So it's too late for coffee. I don't even know what to drink. I guess I just love the taste of high fructose corn syrup in the evening. And as I was having this important conversation about Coca-Cola to a camera, a crew member noticed and thought I was on a call. It probably goes without saying, but even when the Wi-Fi is fast, it's against the rules on almost every major airline to have a call in flight. Oh right, and I nearly forgot, this is America. You get pretzels, and on American Airlines you get pretzels with an airport code, ORD. Chicago, why not? That is pretzels or Lotus Biscoff cookies. I don't know why, but US Airlines always have these cookies too. Pretty sweet to eat with Coke, but they're tasty. By the way, the bathroom back here, it's rather small. There's a lot of mystery liquids on the floor. The soap smells kind of good. I can smell it without having even touched it. 737 bathroom. So, honestly, this whole American Airlines experience has been totally acceptable in my view. I mean, I got about 6 hours of sleep on that 11-hour flight. I even managed to edit a video before that, and both of those lounges over there in Japan were just very nice. The American Airlines lounge over at Dallas-Fort Worth was pretty good too, almost on Japan level. But even if you're traveling with absolutely no oneworld status on American, it seems like they have maybe a pretty decent experience depending on the day. But yeah, it all really comes down to the value you get, and yeah, just whichever airline has the best deal. And in this case, for my needs, American Airlines had a very good deal because I am flying on a forced stopover ticket right now. To put it as simply as possible, I needed to fly from Japan to Minneapolis, but flights from Japan to Minneapolis were in the thousands, if not 2,000 and sometimes even 3,000, and we're talking economy class or even just basic economy class. These are full economy tickets, by the way. So I had a ton of American Airlines vouchers sitting around from a separate incident that we don't have to get into in this video, but that meant that I was really prioritizing flying American to use up those vouchers if possible. Again, I think it was actually $3,700 something for the flights I would have taken, exactly these flights, without going on to somewhere else besides Minneapolis. So what I did is a massive search of all of the American Airlines flights between Japan and the US, and these are one-way flights we're talking about, by the way. It's super easy to do that in Google Flights, by the way. I made a separate video for you about it that you can watch after this one if you're not familiar. But once I had all of the lowest possible fares, I checked out the fare rules and determined which ones might allow me to book a long 4-day stopover in Minneapolis. And then I found a bunch of different combinations and booked one of those for exactly $615 and 5 cents. My actual out-of-pocket costs were only $49.10, so I'm almost flying for free. But even if I were actually paying all cash, $615 is not bad at all for this experience. If you want to book the seats that I booked, they were either in the green or the orange sections, which would be charged if you don't have status, so definitely consider that. Same thing with the lounges, obviously, but as long as you're not booking a basic economy ticket, you can still select seats for free, just limited ones. They're the blue ones on the American Airlines seating chart, and all the other basics, so food on the first flight or drinks on the second flight, are included.
The seatbelt sign is on. Please be seated and fasten your seatbelt.
But we've hit a little bit of rough air, and we're about to start our descent into Minneapolis anyway, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was useful, and after watching, would you fly American Airlines? Let us know down in the comments. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.